Episode number 164.
People are really in tune with what's happening within advertising and how is it changing. I mean, we are in a post-advertising world right now. In order to stand out, you really have to be creative.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I'm fired up today. We're feeling a little spice of Italy because I got my man on the phone on the line here, John Antonacci. John, are you ready to be real?
I sure am. Should I say ciao or buongiorno?
Ciao, buongiorno, hey, buonasera. John is a video strategist as well as the VP of Business Development at Animus Studios, Animus. And we're going to get more into that as well as he has his own podcast. He is the host of the Video Jungle. I love that name.
Cool.
So we've given our listeners just a little insight, but how's your day going today, John?
It's fabulous up here, Travis. I know we were just talking about travel, and if you ever get to Rhode Island, do not come this time of year.
Oh, I heard it's crazy right now.
It's just not fun. New England's an awesome place to be, but there's a few months out of the year where you're like, get me out of this. And this is one of them.
It's crazy with tourism, right?
Well, it gets crazy in the summer. You know, we've got Providence. If you haven't been, we briefly, we talked a little bit about Italy here, and Providence has got some awesome food. And a lot of it has to do with Italian heritage that folks ended up out here. So come out to Providence and you'll eat well.
Eat well. I like it. I'm getting into it. So take us into Animus Studios. How are you guys helping businesses or brands, and what's your role within in this beautiful world of marketing and advertising?
Well, what we try and do is we call it Find Your Fascinating, right? So in that everybody's got awesome stories that need to be told. And what we found in doing this over the course of the years of being in business, there's one thing to be an execution partner where it's like, okay, look, we love video, we get it, and we just need you to come in and shoot it. That's great. And then you end up working on it, and then you find out like the video didn't do so well. Right. It came out great and all that, but there was no plan, there was no strategy, there was really no creative help. So in taking a step back, we were like, what's really in the best interest of customers is to be honest with them and just say, look, we don't want to just jump into a project and get it done, although sometimes we have no choice because of time frames. But what we'd love to do is take the time and work on the creative and work on the planning and strategy. And that's what we call Find Your Fascinating.
Mm. So helping them really kind of figure out what's that point of making it like a story, a really nice story, right?
Yeah. I mean, my thing has always been, when you're working on creative and, we're out here on the East Coast, right? So we got great beaches. I know you guys got great beaches out there too. So you're building a sandcastle, right? If you got your little kids with you and you tell your kids, hey, build a sandcastle, you got 5 minutes to do it, you're going to have a crappy sandcastle.
Right.
But if you give them time, if you give them like an hour, you're going to have a moat, you're going to have all sorts of crazy cool stuff. So, right. And that's the same thing with creative. The more time you spend on it, the better it'll be.
Yeah. So right now for our listeners, what is the one thing they could do right now to start planning an epic creative?
Well, probably to plan the epic creative is the first step is really you got to figure out number one, where are you right now? Mm-hmm. Where are you right now? What's your brand right now? How are you perceived? And then you really got to see like where do you want to go from there? So that's your first step is to be like, where am I right now? Right. And where do I want to go? And who do I want to talk to? There's so many things to it, but really the key is like when you're talking about video, what's your goal with it? What do you want this video to do? And really hone in on that. And that can drive the creative.
Gotcha. And so, because you are a podcast host as well, I'm curious, what gave you the inspiration to start your podcast?
Well, I mean, to be distinctive, I feel that there's tons of guys out there that do what we do, right? And some are awesome, some are great, some maybe not so much. But everybody talks about being different. I like being distinct, and I feel like the podcast gives us a different platform that basically distinguishes us from the competition, where we're talking about video in terms of how to use it in marketing. We're talking to marketers, producers, writers, authors, you name it. Writers and authors are the same thing, but authors of books
Sure, of course. Yeah, they write. Sometimes people only write movie scripts or something.
Exactly. So we've had the full gambit, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, we just recently had the VP of marketing for the Boston Celtics on, and she was
nice.
Yeah, it's cool because it puts us in a position where we're sitting with these folks that otherwise we may not have the opportunity to,
right?
And to be able to pick their brain and share that. A lot of our listeners can get who knows what tidbits they might pick up from it. So that's really why we want to start the podcast.
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
every once in a while that New England accent pops out.
Comes right out on me.
Yeah.
What is so? What's the motivation? I mean, when do you wake up with like, hey, we're gonna go find this new guest? How do you guys find your guests on your podcast?
So it's me and Artie, who are the hosts now. Artie Gold's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for forever, and he has different friends from who I have friends with. I'm more of like the business guy. I love reading business books and things like that. So if I'm reading a cool business book and I'm like, oh, this is great. We just had guys who wrote StoryBrand on. Not StoryBrand. I'm sorry, it's a different guy. Storynomics. I'm trying to get StoryBrand. Donald Miller. It's a great book if you haven't read it. But so I read authors and I'm like, hey, let's get this guy on because he's got some cool stuff that we can tell marketers, and it applies right to stories and telling stories. And Artie might have more of a production background where he's like, hey, I know this producer out in Hollywood. Let's get him on because he's just wrapped up a film. So there's all these different types of guests that we get. And that's the cool thing is awesome. In terms of motivation, I don't know who we're going to have on next. Who's going to jump in front of us.
That's cool, man. That's the cool. I think it's so true. I mean, anyone that's listening that wants to distinguish themselves in their industry, I think it's very important for them to be progressing. And, I remember when I started my podcast almost now coming up, it's actually now 3 years, and 150 plus episodes now, nice. and the truth is that, we've interviewed some of the people that I've wanted to interview. Obviously there's big guests I'd love to interview that I haven't got to yet because they're too busy or whatever. But you're right. I mean, you really get to interview some of your heroes, some of your mentors, and bring in some knowledge that you might not have wanted to talk to these people, or they might not want to talk to you. Because you have a podcast and you're a host, now they want to talk to you. I mean,
now they want to talk to you, and it's really incredible to me that how open everybody is, right? And how available folks are. So if there's somebody even if you don't have a podcast, but you read an author or you've heard something, you can find them, and chances are they'll respond to you, which in this day and age is awesome. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I found that the authors, especially, they want to be on the podcast because it's an easy way for them to sell books. I mean,
exactly.
It's just like a movie or someone in music. It's like their distribution channel is just get as many people eyeballs on this album because it doesn't cost them anymore to have another download.
Yeah, we find too, even creatives when we're chatting with folks that are doing really cool stuff with like animation or graphics or something like that. Like they love the platform because it's not too often that they get a chance to talk about their craft.
Right.
So it's fun.
Right. And you're doing a value to your business. You're helping people, you're helping your listeners, you're helping them, and that's cool, man. I think podcasting is still in the infancy. I mean, there's more and more people that are hopping on, but it becomes harder because usually people give up after 7 pieces of content. So It's like after 7 blogs or 7 videos, they're like not seeing the numbers, or they're not seeing the results, or they're not getting to the people they want to get to, and so they give up. So then their podcast maybe has like 7 to 10 episodes. But for those that keep pushing harder, you through it each week, each month, each year. The truth is, I think podcasting is still really big. I mean, I think it's still more and more people got smartphones. More and more people are looking for alternatives for their mind, and audiobooks and all these things are becoming more popular. And then you got iHeart and Spotify and all these platforms now doing podcasts.
It's so cool because you don't realize it when you're in the thick of it. I'm old enough to remember a few things like when cell phones first came out, and you look at these things, you don't really understand at the time how this is going to change the world. Same thing with the internet. How is this going to? I don't know what the internet is when it first came out. Whatever.
Right.
It's changed the world, but I think now people are really in tune with what's happening within advertising and how is it changing. I mean, we are in a post-advertising world right now. Absolutely. And in order to stand out, you really have to be creative. Yeah. And it's fun to be a part of it, and it's really exciting. It's not scary. I mean, it kind of is, but I'm not afraid of it because you're always going to need advertising in one way or another. It's just a really incredible challenge where if you're a creative, if you're in video production, whatever your line of work is, you have really got to do your homework and try a lot harder, which you should embrace. Don't run from it. Embrace it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the media companies have closed down because they were getting 15% commission on hundreds of millions of dollars, and not even. I mean, you can place $100 million in a few hours. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. You just up the budgets on everything. It's not like it's that much more work to do media buying. I mean, they say it is, but it's not that much harder.
Yeah, these agencies, they're run by very, very smart people.
Absolutely.
And the ones, it's incredible to even watch that. I was just at an event up in Boston, and one of the CEOs of a big ad agency, she just came on board not that long ago because they recognized they needed a shift, they needed a change in leadership and all that, and that's how they have to do it. You have to adapt. You can't live the way you used to live.
Yeah. So they're all being pushed more into do more, work harder for the client, tell the story. Gone are the days of just the easy media by commissions.
Yeah, exactly.
Broadcasters from the radio, from the TV, newspaper. It's like that's changed. There's not as much money for that. There's more money for you guys' services, creating content, creating creative and doing social and doing, different things that didn't really even exist, 10 years ago when I first started my business.
Yeah. And that's why we glom on the find you're fascinating, because we know that's what's going to do it. Like getting that creative right, getting those stories right. Everything is a story and you should be telling stories. Stories work. People remember the stories. It's more of an emotional play, so it might take a little bit longer. But I hear too often like, oh, nobody's got the time for stories anymore. Or they just don't have the attention span to keep up. Like that's not true. You watch Netflix. Who out there is binge watching whatever show right now?
Right.
The attention span is there. The stories have got to be good.
Right. Yeah, because there's so many people creating content that you have to be captivating.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the other, you hit it right there too, Travis. That's the other really cool thing right now that's going on with the subscription-based things like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. And like the world is awesome if you're a creative person and you're writing right now, because you have access to things that 20 years ago people just didn't have access to. When you want to do a show, you had to have the luck of who knows what and know so many people to get you in there to just get a pilot.
Right.
But now, I mean, we're working on webisodes for clients where, it's like, you're doing what? That doesn't make any sense for this client. Oh no, it does. It actually does.
Yeah. You have YouTube, you have all the social platforms to release the content.
Yep.
You might have an email list to release the content, and you have your own basically embedded audience.
Exactly.
And brands themselves, obviously, more and more need to turn to that. Obviously, they are. Some of the best brands are. But thank you so much.
They own their content.
Right.
They own it. That's the beauty of it. It's their content, and they can do whatever they want with it. They're not beholden to other platforms that are like, oh, well, this is what we're going to charge you to run it. No, you don't need to do it. You look at what Marriott's doing. They've got great channels of all the different brands that, each hotel brand that they may have, Renaissance versus Courtyard, they all have their own branded content, and they're doing a terrific job creating some good stuff.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the future is definitely changing. I mean, and it's interesting, like you said, for creative out there, because there's so many more on-demand platforms.
Yep.
I even say Apple this year is making a big investment to TV streaming or to, video streaming.
Yeah, and think about that too. I mean, these are guys who knew what the heck they're doing, and they're late to the game on that, but they'll be fine, right? But still,
Disney too, Disney Plus,
right? Disney, it's incredible what they're buying. It's a lot of fun to watch. It really is. Who knows what we'll be like in a short amount of time, in like 5 years, never mind, like 10 years from now, two years, who knows?
Right? Yeah, even 6 months. It's like, dang. That's the one thing I love about getting into this business, digital and social, is that it's always changing. It always is keeping you on your toes. And, at the end of the day, what worked, 5 years ago doesn't work now.
Yep, exactly.
Change the focus. But now we're about to take you into our top 10, my man. Are you ready?
I am.
Let's do this. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram. John, let's see here. My man John likes Instagram. Chicken, steak, or fish?
Boy, that's a tough one, right? I mean,
a lot of options there.
I don't know if you need a short answer here because I'm grossed out by food a lot. You know, if it's chicken, it's just got to be a breast. If it's steak, it's got to have no fat on it. And if fish, man, it's just got. I don't know.
Clean.
I don't know. Man. Can I skip this one?
Yeah, you like clean. So you eat more vegetables then too?
No, not really. No, I'll eat meat. Yeah. I don't have a preference, vegetable or animal. I just don't like the gross stuff. So I guess for the most part, I'm eating chicken. Chicken is where I'm eating most.
Because it's clean, it's easy, not have a ton of extra fat on it.
Yeah, Travis. I don't like thinking too much about food. You know, I know it sounds weird coming from a person with Italian heritage, but food is not a big thing for me.
Gotcha. Well, laptop or an iPhone?
iPhone.
Nice. Spotify or Pandora? Oh,
this is gonna date me. Pandora.
They're still alive. They're still cracking.
Yeah, I know. I can't give it up.
Yeah. They're owned by, I forgot. Did they get bought out by someone? I forgot about that. Movies or video games?
Movies.
Reading books or listening to books?
Reading books.
Nice. Stocks, crypto, or real estate?
Real estate.
Real estate, baby. Make that annual recurring revenue.
They ain't making more real estate.
No, they're not. Oceans or lakes?
Oceans all day long. Lakes are gross. Ducks poop in them. No thanks.
Yeah, let alone other stuff, man.
Yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning, my man, you're brushing your teeth, you're getting yourself ready. You know, why do you love being you?
I don't know. I just do. I mean, it's everything that's around me is pretty awesome. Everybody in my life, you know, work, play, family, everything. It's all awesome.
And when do you have like a passion that you feel like thrives through you? Do you feel like there's something that's just like, I wake up because I want to tell my client stories, you know? I mean, there's
no, I really, and this is going to sound so hokey, but I like fixing things. I like finding out what's broken and fixing it. You know, if somebody's got an issue, I don't know, it's instilled by my grandfather and my father. This is, you know, help somebody out. And that's what we do.
That's awesome, brother. That's what the world needs more of. How do you typically like to start your day?
I like to exercise. It gets my brain working. Yeah, it's an early thing to do. You know, the toughest part about exercising in the morning to me is get my head off the pillow.
Right.
But after that, it just gets my brain right, my body right, blood pumping, and I'm ready to kill the day.
Listen to music or anything to motivate you, or just no music, just go through it?
You know what? It depends. Sometimes very rarely do I listen to music. I listen to podcasts mostly, and the subject matter of the podcast will vary. It depends. If I feel like I need to be inspired business wise, I'll pick up your podcast. I'll listen to some really great ones that are out there. And sometimes I'll just listen to music and just shut my brain off.
Right. Depending on how you're feeling that day.
Yeah. Sometimes you need that break, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You really, you know, a lot of people, I think folks are starting to understand that, right? Is that you need to take care of you. So sometimes you just got to unplug it all.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I like even just a nice walk because no devices, nothing. You're hanging out with someone. If you can get a walking buddy, or my wife, for instance, or I walk with my father, and it's good. Just some good conversation.
You prefer to walk with someone or alone?
I like to walk with someone. I don't mind walking alone, but I tend to, even if I'm going to do alone, I tend to like want to run or something.
Yeah.
Kind of just get some more blood flowing if I'm by myself, but I tend to walk with my wife or I walk with my father.
Yeah. Nice. That's very nice.
Yeah. Just good conversations. You never will probably come up because you're just walking and you don't have devices or anything bothering you. And interesting things I've learned from my father. I started that with him, 6 or 7 years ago, and it's been interesting. We have a really good relationship because of that. So also this year, we're in the new year here. Is there a skill you're working on, trying to master, trying to work at something unique?
I'm always trying to find and learn. I had looked into certain courses. I just signed up for this course online for more social, basically mastering social media.
Sure.
So I think that's not even this year. That's this month.
There you go. You're constantly changing, learning new stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome, brother. That's the way to do it too, man. It's so convenient. There's so many different lessons and courses and training, and the biggest thing I can tell you from doing social, man, is just show up every day.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Don't get excited one day and then put a bunch of effort in and then be like, oh shit, social's taking me 3 hours. No, do 15 minutes a day every day. And
Hey,
that's
I don't know if you promote tools over here. You can edit this out, I'm sure, right? But later.com, have you heard about that?
no, I haven't. Later.com.
Later.com, it's pretty cool. You can either use it for free for personal stuff or whatever. But if you got a business, you can sit there on a Saturday and you can start like just programming out all your social posts throughout the week, the month, whatever you want to do.
Right. Yeah, you got to be efficient at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Especially, but with social, it's just you have to do it every day. I mean, you have to physically be present every day if you want to see the most results. You know, that's just what I've seen. That's the truth. That's the truth. There's people commenting every day. If you have a big social page, they're asking you questions, and you got to be present. You can't just set it on autopilot. Or like we see, to be transparent with those that are listening, is we come in, we train, or we are speaking. People are excited, and then next thing that happens, nothing.
Yeah,
they stop doing it.
Yep.
And it's true. I understand. I mean, social is like, it's like you don't have to do it. I mean, it's the cream on the top of the latte. It's not necessarily a have to, but for some businesses it is. I mean, it's the vital thing for a lot of restaurants these days. And we actually work with a lot of medical doctors and things like that. They don't do any other type of advertising. They don't do anything else. They're just doing social media, community management, growing their community, getting good reviews on Google, and that's it. They don't need to be on television to have a successful retina doctor or a successful heart doctor or whatever, or lawyer or one of those kind of more specific niches that they don't need a lot of advertising. They don't need to be spending $10,000 or $20,000 a month and to be in the newspaper and all over the place. Like you used to see those guys back in the day, but a lot of them have tailored their budgets back to different things. Do you have a favorite app that you like using on a daily basis or on a weekly basis?
That's hard to say. I don't even want to say the one that I'm always looking at. I'm afraid to say it. It's the New England Patriots app. I'm sorry.
Are you happy with you guys' first round pick?
So far, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look at a kid like that, and I'm like, oh, he makes all these contested throws. It means he can't get open, in my opinion. But I don't know. I'm not Bill Belichick. I don't have a gazillion Super Bowl rings. So
yeah, he knows. You guys just follow what he's doing, man.
I just defer to Bill.
He's got as I'm looking right here. When I was a kid, I used to collect all these autographs, and he's one of my treasured ones. I'm looking right there on my wall.
You have it. You got a Bill?
To Travis, Bill Belichick.
Wow.
Super Bowl 36. Maybe. He has the first one they won. Yeah, he has the first two Super Bowls on there as a little kind of a little inscription.
That's pretty cool.
I used to collect them when I was a kid. I'd send them in the mail, and they'd send them back.
Well, I didn't even do that. I actually so my prized possession that I've got is a Tom Brady autographed football.
Oh, nice.
Which was basically the first year he started. I brought my son to the mall. I got the picture of me shaking his hand. And I don't know if you recall, at the time we had Drew Bledsoe. Yeah. And I was telling Tom Brady, I'm like, well, good luck at your next job. It was nice having you here.
Wow.
Because I figured he was gone.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think
you got a crazy story, man.
100.
He might play till he's 47 years old.
Why would you stop it? Everybody talks about maybe we got to look to the future. I'm like, why? I mean, that's not this team this year. Like, just you got the best quarterback that ever put on cleats and ride them out. Yeah,
just get more and more draft picks to help him and be better, like Sony Michel and these great guys that they get. And hey, man, that makes him even better.
Yep.
He doesn't have to do as much work if he's got Sony running 3 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, that was something, boy. I don't know. It's just so you know, Travis, I am not, and we hear this all the time as Patriots fans, like, oh, you guys are spoiled. Like, no. When I grew up, they sucked.
Yeah, I remember. They sucked for many years. Yeah.
So they absolutely sucked. And we've been waiting. Guys like me have been waiting for the bottom to fall out every day. Not every season, not every year. I mean, every day we're waiting for something really bad to happen. So listen, we're not spoiled. We're in shock.
Yeah, and they always start off slow. In the beginning, they always lose a couple games in the beginning, and they figure things out, and then they just go on a winning streak.
Yeah, I've honestly given up bitching about it. I really have. Like, it's I used to, the beginning of the year, I'd say, oh God, I these guys suck again, because that's what New Englanders do.
Yeah,
and then they turn around and win a Super Bowl. So I wish we didn't, because then we'd enjoy it a lot more. But it's not in our blood.
We need to move some of that mojo over to the Cowboys, baby, and we'll see you in the next Super Bowl, my man.
No, that's fine.
So be real. If you could sit down for dinner tonight with anyone in the world, who would it be?
My grandfather.
Oh,
like
nice.
alive or dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, alive or dead.
Yeah, my grandfather. I'd give anything to have another dinner with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his biggest lesson, or do you feel like what was his energy that you felt?
Integrity.
Yes.
His thing was always telling me like, integrity is what you do when no one's looking. And my favorite line when I got a little older was, integrity is like virginity. Once you lose it, it's gone.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a real one right there, folks.
That's it.
Do you have a book that has changed your mindset or life, or something that, you keep rereading, or something you love to kind of look back on?
Yeah, I actually, I read a lot, and probably, boy, that's a great question. Oh man, what has changed my life?
One that you like, sometimes like you just think about, like like I was taking a lift and the guy was having a tough time and he was telling me a story, and I mentioned to him the power of positivity and how a little something little every night when you go to bed, folks, all you have to do is say, with the universe and God's help, whatever you believe, but with the universe's help, with this world's help, I am now releasing all my fear and anxiety and worry and stress and anger or whatever you're feeling. And you have to repeat that to yourself a few times. And then you say, I am now free from fear, anxiety, anger, whatever. The whole point is that book has stuck with me in a way, because I think the practice of that in general has helped me just, not be afraid to be a dad and not, run a business and deal with stress of a business, or things like that. And in this case, this guy really felt like, hey man, thanks for sharing that with me, because he was having just a tough time. And
that's great.
Yeah. So sometimes, there's just like that book that kind of sticks with you.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of them, but I would probably think, like, as you were talking, I was trying to think, I'd have to think like The Science of Selling.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Was probably the one of the cooler books that I read. Everything else was so salesy, and get them to nod their head 1,000 times and they'll say yes to you.
Right.
I hated that. But when I read The Science of Selling, it was one of those books. I'm more of a sciencey kind of guy, I guess, and when it's like, oh, all right, this is why I've been so good at it. 'Cause you never know, like, I don't know what it is. And then when people start putting labels to things, it's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Right.
Now I get it.
Yeah,
that's a good book.
It's so hard because there are so many good books out there, obviously.
Yeah.
Real, but it's always nice to have something you kind of like, it hones in with who you are. What is your favorite show or something to do at the end of a long day of work?
At the end of the day, long day, my wife and I, we've fallen in a habit now of binge watching a show, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So right now we've discovered Dexter.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. That one's pretty cool.
She's not my favorite one of all time. Was probably, I hope, everybody's favorite, but Breaking Bad. That was the best acted, written show, I think, ever on TV.
I wonder if they'll ever bring it back.
I hear they're gonna, right?
I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I hope it's as good.
That's good. Yeah.
But so that's our thing. So we'll sit there and we'll find different shows, and then we get sucked in. Billions is very good.
Yeah, they are. That's a good one. Is that on Showtime, right?
Yeah, that's Showtime. That's very, very good. So if you guys, feel free to email me, shoot me something with different show ideas, because I'm a junkie.
Yeah, it's cool. It helps you keep on your edge of your craft, right?
That's right. That's right. That's
you're actually doing some continuing education while you're watching.
That's right. That's right.
Well, can you give our listeners, John, one last real talk thought for the day?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you give our listeners like one last real talk thought or something that you can leave with them?
Well, I would have to say, like, when you're starting out and you're thinking about video, again, take your time with the creative, figure out who you are and where you want to go. What are the goals? And don't be afraid to try something. Don't, if you get a bunch of people in the room and you get them all to say yes, this may not be a good thing. Right. You probably want to have at least one person in that room who doesn't like the idea.
Right.
Because then you're going to be like everybody else. If everybody says yes, you're going to look like everybody else. So definitely have some different viewpoints in a room.
That's a great point too, because I found like some of the most viral stuff has as many people hating it as loving it.
Yeah, right. You can't please everybody. Like, these are cliches for a reason. You can't please everybody, so don't try.
Yeah, good point. And also, where is the best place for our listeners to find you? Is it a good place for them to connect to you?
They can find us at www.animusstudios.com.
Awesome.
You can the Video Jungle podcast. You can hear us on that. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on that. That's my social platform that I love. I'm on it right now.
We'll make sure that we get all that stuff in the show notes, my man. Folks, you've been hanging out with John Antonacci and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you so much for your time today, and keep being real. What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today.